Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Sri Nitai Gauranga ki, Sri Krishna Balram ki, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Chandra ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naisthiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 24, Matsya, the Lord's Fish Incarnation, Text 51. Jano Janasya Dishate Satim Gatim Yaya Prapadyeta Duratyayam Tamaha Tvam Tvavyayam Gnanam Amoghamanjasa Prapadyate Yena Jano Nijam Padam. Janasya Dishate Satim Gatim Yaya Prapadyeta Duratyayam Tamaha Tvam Tvavyayam Gnanam Amoghamanjasa Prapadyate Yena Jano Nijam Padam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. A materialistic so-called guru instructs his materialistic disciples about economic development and sense gratification. And because of such instructions, the foolish disciples continue in the materialistic existence of ignorance. But your Lordship gives knowledge that is eternal, and the intelligent person receiving such knowledge is quickly situated in his original constitutional position. Please repeat. A materialistic so-called guru instructs his materialistic disciples about economic development and sense gratification. And because of such instructions, the foolish disciples continue in the materialistic existence of ignorance. But your Lordship gives knowledge that is eternal, and the intelligent person receiving such knowledge is quickly situated in his original constitutional position. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. So-called gurus instruct their disciples for the sake of material profit. Some guru advises that one meditate in such a way that his intelligence will increase in regard to keeping his body fit for sense gratification. Another guru advises that sex is the ultimate goal of life and that one should therefore engage in sex to the best of his ability. These are the instructions of foolish gurus. In other words, because of the instructions of a foolish guru, one remains perpetually in material existence and suffers its tribulations. But if one is intelligent enough to take instructions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as enunciated in Bhagavad Gita or the Sankhya philosophy of Kapila Deva, one can very soon attain liberation and be situated in his original position of spiritual life. The words Nijam Padam are significant. The living entity, being part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has the birthright to a position in Vaikuntha Loka or the spiritual world where there is no anxiety. Therefore, one should follow the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. After giving up one's body, one will return home back to Godhead. The Lord lives in the spiritual world in his original personality, and a devotee who follows the instructions of the Lord approaches him, mameti. As a spiritual person, such a devotee returns to the personality of Godhead and plays and dances with him. That is the ultimate goal of life. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So anyone remembers who is saying this verse to whom? So this is the Matsya incarnation. So basically, as I was explaining in my last class also, Matsya incarnation comes two times. One at the end of, in a day of Brahma, Matsya comes two times. One at the end of the first Manvantara, and the second time at the end of the last Manvantara, which is the Chakshusha Manvantara, sixth Manvantara. So the first Manvantara, Matsya comes to protect the Vedas which have been stolen by this demon. And the second time it comes, Matsya comes, is at the end of the Chakrusha Manvantara to save King Satyavrata and all the great sages and various species in a great boat. He instructs the previous verses all about how that Matsya comes as a small fish. Anyone remembers when King Satyavrata would be offering his prayers, he takes the water from the river and the small fish comes into his palms, and then he's about to throw it back, and then the fish says, no, 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 big fishes will eat me, please don't throw me away. And then he takes him home, and then the fish starts to expand, and then he keeps putting in a different containers, the lake, the river and ocean. Still the fish becomes so huge, and then he understands that it is none other than the Lord. And then the Lord instructs him, 7th day from today there will be a great flood, devastation. Bhuvasvaha lokas will be devastated, and at that time I will come and protect you and all these sages in a huge boat. And when that boat comes to you, you tie that boat with Vasuki to my horn, and at that time I will take that boat and save all of you. So that is the context. So when Matsya comes, Satyavrata, he does appropriate instruction as is given to him, and then he starts to offer his prayers. So this prayer comes as part of that. He is praying to Matsyavatara during this devastating waters. So all around there are complete devastation going on, and now here is a devotee. He is offering such nice prayers, so with utmost meaning and devotion. So whenever there is devastation comes, we should remember, because the Lord is there to protect. So our duty is only to glorify the Lord. It doesn't matter where we are. So what he is saying here, Jano janasya dishate asatim gatim. Janaha here means a guru, an ordinary guru. Like a Jana means ordinary person. Here he is referring to as an ordinary or mundane guru, who is not a spiritual guru, who is not a bona fide guru. So what does he do? Janaha janasya adishate asatim gatim. He instructs another Jana. Janaha janasya adishate. He instructs. What does he instruct about? Asatim gatim. Asat means what? Temporary, untruth, materialistic path. He instructs about asatim gatim. And that Prabhupada is writing in the translation as, he instructs about economic development and sense gratification. So anybody who instructs about economic development and sense gratification, he is ordinary or mundane guru, not a bona fide guru. So adishate asatim gatim, yaya, by which this person who receives that instruction, what does he do? Prapadyate duratyayam tamaha. He follows that instruction about the mundane asatim gatim, and as a result he surrenders to prapadyate duratyayam tamaha. This word Krishna also uses in explaining his material energy in Bhagavad Gita. Mama maya duratyaya. So that means this material energy of Krishna is insurmountable. Or in other words, one who follows a false guru gets implicated in this insurmountable material existence of ignorance. Prapadyate duratyayam tamaha. That person becomes entangled. But tu, tvam, you are not like that. He is addressing Matsya. Tvam tu avyayam gnanam. You don't give knowledge like that. You give avyayam gnanam. Avyayam gnanam means inexhaustible spiritual knowledge, which is amogham. Amogham means no material contamination, and by which very easily, anjasa, very soon, Yena, by which this jana, this person who receives such knowledge, prapadyate nijam padam. Earlier, he got the knowledge from this ordinary guru and he became prapadyate duratyayam tamaha. He surrendered to material energy. And now, by receiving this true knowledge from you, he can be situated in prapadyate nijam padam, his original nijam padam, his original constitutional position as your servant. He can go back to his original constitutional position in Vaikuntha. So Prabhupada mentions about these, what are the different kinds of gurus. One who instructs about economic development or sense gratification. So he makes this statement. Some guru advises that one meditate in such a way that his intelligence will increase in regard to keeping his body fit for sense gratification. Prabhupada mentions many places. During Nityananda appearance day, he always mentions inevitably. There is a Vedic instruction, Nayam Atma Balahinena Labhyo. Anyone remembers that instruction? Nayam Atma Balahinena Labhya. Means this, the Supreme Lord, I am Atma, Balahinena Labhya. He is not understandable or attainable by a Balahina. So this Guru, the so-called Guru, the famous Guru, who came to the West long back to Chicago, I'm sure all of you know that. So he interpreted that as, oh, if you are weak physically, you cannot understand God or you cannot realize God. So you have to become physically very strong. You have to eat meat. And he has introduced this nonsense concept of eating meat to even sannyasis. You have to become stout and strong to realize God. And his understanding of God is also very questionable. And then Prabhupada mentions in one of the places, he says, no, instead of watering tulsi plant, this so-called guru says, instead of watering tulsi plant, you should rather water eggplant. Why? Because by watering eggplant, you will get nice eggplant by which you can eat and become stout and strong. So this is his understanding. Whereas the actual meaning of Balahina means one who is devoid of spiritual strength. Spiritual strength is given by Lord Balaram or Nityananda Prabhu. One who gets the mercy of Nityananda, he gets the spiritual strength. So these are the kinds of things that go on. Nayam Atma Balahinena Labhya. And here is another instruction. Another statement, another kind of bogus guru. Another guru advises that sex is the ultimate goal of life and that one should therefore engage in sex to the best of his ability. So there was another sannyasi guru in those days called Rajneesh. Anybody heard about him? Rajneesh, very famous. So he would say, by sex intelligence, you get salvation. So that is their conception. And Prabhupada also, in that context, while exposing this Rajneesh, he also mentions about another organization, famous, very famous organization. Even now they are famous. I will not name their name, but they contain predominantly, or only rather, they focus only on girls. And they exist here also in Bay Area, anyway. They only focus on girls, opposite of brahmacharis. So what they do, Prabhupada is saying, they keep these girls, and the rich men, they are supplied with these nice, beautiful girls. They get money for that. And they enjoy, and they invite the karmis also to enjoy. So this is the kind of different kinds of gurus in the name of religion. There was another personality, guru slash self-proclaimed avatar in South India. Many of you know, obviously. In those days, he was becoming very prominent by his magics and all of that. So he made a statement that came to Prabhupada's attention, the disciples told. So he said, in my present avatar, I have come armed with the fullness of the power of the formless God to save humanity. So Prabhupada became very upset with that. He said we should compose a letter and address to him, write like this. So, dear such and such, just recently in the Blitz paper published, we find this article that God is an Indian. And you have claimed to become incarnation of God to save the human society. So now Prabhupada is asking the first question. What is the ground of your claiming as incarnation? And what have you done to save the human society? Will you explain for enlightenment for us? We have got the list of incarnations recorded in the Vedic scriptures and their respective activities also. So where is that record in the Vedic scripture about your appearing as incarnation? So that is a very important thing to learn for us. If somebody claims as incarnation, that has to be recorded in Vedic literature. Otherwise we cannot accept as incarnation. And then Prabhupada explains how Lord Krishna's incarnation is mentioned, Rama's incarnation is mentioned, Buddha's, Chaitanya's incarnation is mentioned. So where is your incarnation? Please kindly give reference. Because anybody can say as they want, as is the fashion nowadays. So there is no proof. It has become ridiculous. And then Prabhupada quoted what he said. I have come armed with the fullness of the power of the formless God to save humanity. And then Prabhupada asked his disciples to quote this verse from Bhagavad Gita. What is that verse? This comes in the 7th chapter. Those who are less intelligent consider God to be formless. Avajanti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam. That is, who deride Krishna. I'm talking about who praise or who consider God as formless. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mam abuddhayaha. God is actually formless, avyaktam, but now he has taken a form as Krishna. Vyaktimapannam. And those are the category of abuddhayaha, manyante mam abuddhayaha. Parambhavam ajananto. They don't know my superior form as the personality of Godhead. Mama avyayam anuttamam. So Prabhupada quotes that verse. Only unintelligent men consider like that. And Prabhupada also explains about, he quotes another verse from Bhagavatam which talks about 3 kinds of Tattvavadis who understand God to be Brahman or Paramatma or Bhagavan. Vadanti tat tattvavidam tattvam yad gnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. So Prabhupada explains all that and says, one who understands Krishna only as the absolute truth, his personality as the ultimate aspect of the absolute truth, he is in right knowledge. Otherwise they are not in right knowledge. Indirectly he is proving, he is also quoting another verse, Param Brahma Param Dhama, as Arjuna quoted. So by all this he is saying, what you are explaining is all bogus. So he wrote a letter like that. There is another interesting guru / influencer in California, a Westerner. Marshall Applegate, his name was. So very interesting. What happened was, he started this movement called Heaven's Gate. It's called, have you heard about it? Heaven's Gate. So what he said was, he actually incarnated into the body of Jesus. When Jesus came, it was he who was incarnated and preached Christianity at that time. And now he left, and now he came again in this body of Marshall Applegate, and he wants to take them back to some alien world. He says that that's where we belong, alien world. And he said, so there were about several followers at that time, about 40 of them at that point when this incident happened. In 1998, this incident happened. So what he said was, they discovered this comet, Hale-Bopp comet, if you remember. In those days, that comet was traveling, coming closer to Earth and such. So he said that there was a spaceship or alien spaceship in disguise attached to that comet, so it becomes unviewed from the common public. And so it's coming and taking our people who are following I'm going there, going back there, and all of you will go back there if you follow my instruction. What is that instruction? When it comes, you have to be ready to be taken by that. How you will be ready? You have to take lethal doses of, there is a medicine, phenobarbital medicine. It's basically a sedatory medicine, a drug, by which one becomes completely unconscious. And it's basically used to treat epilepsy and those kind of seizures kind of thing. And if you take lethal doses of that, you can die. But these people, they accepted his instruction that actual spaceship will come and pick them up and take them back. All of them, 40 of them, they all took that, and there was a mass suicide. They all died. 1998, March 1998. It's 25th anniversary. Recently happened. So that is the kind of different kinds of gurus and people they believe in. So that's what Prabhupada is writing. Different kinds of unbonafide gurus exist. And this begs the question, how do we understand who is a bona fide guru? Only then we can say who is not a bona fide guru, isn't it? So I would like to point at least 3 things from scriptures, 2 of them from Bhagavad Gita. How do we identify a bona fide spiritual master? So what is the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to who is a spiritual master in Bhagavad Gita? Yes, parampara is there. What is that instruction? What is that parampara verse? Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nastha parantapa. So that person who can be a bona fide guru, he has to belong to parampara. He has to be authorized by his predecessor spiritual master. Prabhupada mentions this word Diksha Vidhana in 4th canto of Bhagavatam. One should take initiation from a bona fide spiritual master coming in disciplic succession, who is authorized by his predecessor spiritual master. This is called Diksha Vidhana. So authorization is very important. In order for you to officially represent as a guru in Sampradaya, in Parampara, that person has to be authorized by his predecessor spiritual master. So that is one condition. If you don't have Parampara, don't have authorization, you cannot be guru, bona fide guru. So what is the other instruction of Bhagavad Gita with regards to who can be a bona fide guru? Arjun? Huh? Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti te gnanam gnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. That person has to be a tattvadarshi. What is tattvadarshi? Seer of the absolute truth, who has seen the truth. He can explain you the truth because he has seen the truth. So what is tattva? What is truth? We have discussed just 5 minutes back, we discussed. That was from Srimad Bhagavatam. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam That Tattvam is realized in 3 stages. What is that? Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdyate. So the highest realization of Tattva is as Bhagavan. That means Tattvadarshi means one who has seen Krishna, one who has realized Krishna as Bhagavan. Only he can be a guru. Not even Brahman or Paramatma. That is the second condition. The third aspect which I'd like to highlight is present in another Upanishad. Tasmad gurum prapadyeta jignasuhu shreya uttamam shabde pare cha nishnatam brahmani upashamashrayam. So you should surrender to a bona fide spiritual master. Tasmat gurum prapadyeta. Fine. If you want to get the ultimate benefit, Shreya Uttamam, that Prabhupada talks about Shreya and Preya. Shreya Uttamam means the ultimate benefit, not material benefit like how these ordinary gurus tell. So this guru, if you go to this guru, you will get Shreya Uttamam. And that guru has to be Shabde Parecha Nishnatam Brahmani Upashamashrayam. What does it mean by that? Shabde Parecha Nishnatam. Nishnatam means very expert. In what? Shabda. Shabda means what? Sound. Yes, Shabda means sound. It also refers to something. Shabda Brahma means what? The sound vibration. The Vedic knowledge, which is also called Shabda Brahma, because the Vedic knowledge is understood by hearing. Shabde Pare means Vedic knowledge. This person has to be Nishnatam, he has to be expert in Vedic knowledge. And Brahmani Upashama Ashrayam. His Upashama Ashrayam means he has taken complete shelter, his enjoyment is in Brahmani, Parabrahmani, in Krishna. He finds his happiness only in Krishna, not in matter. Or in other words, if you find a guru who is also taking shelter in material things, a guru who goes to watch, there was a post on social media. Oh, Sadguru is seen in Bangalore watching this cricket match between whatever. So, but the bona fide guru means Brahmani Upashamashrayam. He is taking pleasure only in Krishna. Prabhupada wrote a letter once to one of his disciples. He's saying, Prabhupada wrote me a letter like this. So he said, throughout my life, this is Prabhupada saying, throughout my life I had so many opportunities for sense gratification. But Krishna always saved me. I never knew what is meat eating, gambling, intoxication, or illicit sex. And Prabhupada also wrote, there was never a moment when I was ever forgetful of Krishna. There was never a moment when I was ever forgetful of Krishna. That means his shelter, his source of pleasure is in Krishna. Atma ramasya munayo nirgrandha api urukrame kurvanti ahaitukim bhaktim ittam bhuta guno harihi. This Atma Rama, the self-realized person, he's got nothing to do with this material world. Nirgrandha. Like Sukadeva Goswami, when he was born, he was completely liberated in the impersonal concept of absolute truth. So he just went off, and his father had to go catch him, and he could not catch him. He was just running away. I don't have anything to do with this world. He was running away. And then Vyasadeva started to recite this verses from Bhagavatam. Barha pidam natavaravapu karnayo karnikaram. Like that, he started to describe about Krishna. And that captivated the mind of Sukadeva Goswami. Oh, what is this? I have never heard this kind of description anywhere. That Sukadeva Goswami, who was never attracted by anything material, he got captivated by hearing about instruction about Krishna. So this is the standard of a bona fide guru. He is not captivated by anything material. His upashama, ashrayam is only in Parabrahman, Krishna. So that is the condition. So three things we learnt about who is a bona fide guru. One is, has to belong to parampara. Second is, he has to be tattvadarshi, tattva as Krishna as the absolute truth. The third is Brahmani Upashama Ashrayam. His source of pleasure is only in Krishna, not anything in material. He is never indulging in sense gratification. And then here Prabhupada also mentions, we spoke about how Nijam Padam. Nijam Padam means, by hearing these instructions from Matsyadeva, O Lord, Tvam tu avyayam gnanam amogham anjasa prabatyate yena jano nijam padam. The person goes back to his original position. And what is that original position? Here he writes, the Lord lives in the spiritual world in his original personality, and devotee follows the instruction, approaches him. As a spiritual person, such a devotee returns to the personality of Godhead and plays and dances with him. You want to play and dance with him, Arjun? With Krishna? Right? So, the person who gets enlightened by the Lord or his pure devotee gets the opportunity to go back and play and dance with him. So Prabhupada wrote one poem, one song actually, on the Jaladuta on September 13th, 1965. He was recounting the mercy of Krishna and Krishna Tava Punya Habe Bhai. Krishna Tava Punya Habe Bhai, like that he wrote one song. In that I'd like to recall the stanzas 7 and 8, very meaningful. So he's writing, Tumi mora chira sathi, bhuliya mayara lathi, Khayachi janma janmantare, Aji puna yesu yoga, Yedi hoi yoga yoga, Tabe pari tumhe mili bare. So it says, it means, Tumi mora chira sathi, mera saath. You are my eternal. Chira means eternal. Chiram. Eternal companion. Tumi mora chira sathi, but bhuliya, I've forgotten you and come to this place. Of course, Prabhupada is placing himself as one of the conditioned souls, which is the typical situation of all of us. We forgot our eternal companion Krishna and came here, bhuliya, and now what are we facing? Bhuliya mayara lathi. Just like police do the lathi charge, we are being hit by mayar lathi. Khayachi janma janmantare. Khayachi. I've been tasting that lathi from birth after birth. Aji puna yesu yoga jadi hoy yoga yoga. If today, Aj, punah suyoga, if we can meet again, if there is a chance to meet you again, then yadi ho yoga yoga tabe pari tude mili bare, I'll be able to rejoin you and rejoice that association. And then he says, Tomara mila ne bhai, abar se sukha pai, gocharane ghuri din bhor, katabane chuta chuti, bane khai luta luti, sei din kabe habe mor. So he says, Tumara milane bhai, abar se sukha pai. Bhai, he is calling Krishna as bhai. Oh, my dear brother, in your company, I will experience great joy once again. Abar se sukha pai. And wandering about the pastures and fields, I will pass the entire day with you in tending the cows. Go charane ghuri din bhor. So Prabhupada is revealing his natural position of playing with Krishna as cowherd boy. I will pass the entire day with you in tending the cows. And then joking with you, kata bane chuta chuti, and frolicking throughout so many forests of Vrindavan. Bane khai luta luti. From Lathi it became luta luti, enjoying with Krishna. I will enjoy the pastimes of stealing and eating one another's lunch. When, oh, when will that day be mine? Say din kabe habe more. So, this is the result of following the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master. One goes to Krishna and plays and dances with him. And Prabhupada concludes, that is the ultimate goal of life. So I'll stop here. Any other questions or comments? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु शीला प्रभुपाद की, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल.